What's going on, everybody? It is me, your boy Gilbert,
And me, Harry.
and we are back once again. We have finally done it. We have reached the other side of the Dune Sea and reached the moisture evaporator that is a Star Wars show. We are finally back to talk about it, and it's a surprise. It's actually pretty damn good, or at
Oh
least
yeah,
halfway. Like again, 1 out of 2 episodes are really good. The other one is it's okay.
yeah. It's we'll see how it goes. Obviously,
Mhm.
we've seen these shows turn around on us before, but so far, promising start.
Absolutely. And so yeah, but before we get into that, I'll wait a few minutes to let people kind of get in. Let's just do the initial thoughts. So yeah, like we kind of just said, it was a good start. Yeah, Harrison, did you expect the Star Wars Goonies to actually be enjoyable, or were you just kind of expecting it to like were you like a little like tired of Star Wars at this point?
I was hopeful, I think, because we've spoken on this channel before about how we want them to just like do other things with Star Wars.
Mhm.
Make interesting stories. Yeah, we talked about how like just do a Star Wars version of this or a Star Wars version of this. And Skeleton Crew seems like that. A Star Wars version of the Goonies. Sounds interesting. And I'm nostalgic for the Goonies and stories like that. So yeah, I was hoping it would be good. I didn't know if it definitely would, but I was definitely hoping for it. And so far it hasn't let me down.
Hmm. And I mean, it's going to be a 9 episode, 8 episode, maybe. I'm
It's
not sure if
eight
it's 8 or 9
episodes.
episodes. So there you go, 8 episodes series. So we still have 6 more episodes to go. We'll see how it goes. We also got Patrick in here. Says yeah, better first impression than the last one. And I think that was Ahsoka was the last Star Wars live action TV show.
It was the Acolyte.
Oh shit! Oh my god, I was right. That's right. I was wrong. I was totally wrong. You are right. It is the Acolyte, and see that's how bad that show was. I just completely
Just
just
blocked
erased
that.
that from my head.
Yeah.
But okay, no, you're right. That was the Acolyte, and as that also did a 2 episode release, and not great by comparison. By comparison, this is leagues better. So let me
Mm.
just let's
Oh
go
yeah.
ahead and jump right into it. So it starts off with kind of a cool little like an homage and this is I think this is also the way that Andor started, if I'm not mistaken, with this like it's like since the fall of the Empire, the New Republic has maintained order. And let me see. Oh, here, let me make sure it's on mute so that we know we don't get in trouble. And then it talks about how like the hyperspace routes are still plagued by piracy, and these pirates boldly brand their armored hulls as a sign of to all ships surrender or die. So these are like it's kind of implied that these are the same pirates we saw in Mandalorian, the episode where they attack Navarro.
Okay, yeah.
So, and actually, I'm pretty sure later on in the episode, and we will get to it when they get, or later on the second episode when they get to the pirate place, that we do actually see one of those guys from that episode of The Mandalorian. You see, dig it, Lumpy, having those little elephant kids watching the same hologram. Oh yeah, okay, so I think that's in this episode as well. But yeah, they
That
do show
is.
that there's a reference to the holiday special in here.
Yeah, I think we'll get to it, Patrick. But I've got things to say about the stuff that they have, like the entertainment these children have.
All right. So, oh shit, well, not shooting this shit. Goddamn, I got to work on that title real quick. And what? So, all right, let's go ahead and get into it. So, we open up like there's the little bit. There's kind of a crawl. There's the words that, and then what's it? Pans down to a planet. Very, very like common Star Wars thing to do. And
Very
we
classic.
get, yeah, very classic Star Wars. And we get this like Republic ship that gets attacked by a pirate ship. And I kind of like how they do this. This is something I don't think we've ever seen in Star Wars, where they like, maybe in the Clone Wars, but they like use these things to bust through the ship's hull
Mm.
and like board the ship. That's kind of cool because I mean, obviously, if you're gonna do some pirate stuff, you can't just like throw an anchor onto the other person's ship and then swing across.
Yeah, no, it's quite cool to see, and it was something I wasn't expecting from this to start with a space battle. Like a sort of episode 4 kind of beginning of watching people be boarded. We've got blasters going off, we've got fighting happening here. Kind of refreshing to not see a Jedi. It's always good. I like when you see more just kind of the regular folks in Star Wars picking up arms and defending themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, it's supposed to be the New Republic, so it very much says that it's like, okay, the Empire's fallen, it's the New Republic. So I'm assuming that this is going to be taking place at or around the Mandalorian, or like around that, Mandalorian Ahsoka, the Dave Filoni verse that he's created that's going to lead to that movie.
Yeah, I'm interested to see as we go further on in the show if it can establish when things happen on these timelines. So that opening crawl, yeah, definitely says to me, I think you're right, that this is New Republic era. So we're after the fall of the Empire. And so I'm interested in then how long after this opening sequence the rest of the show happens, because it does imply that there is some passage of time, but quite
True.
how long it is, I don't know yet.
That is true. So we don't know if it's around that. And so the point I was making there is that because it's that time, I don't think that there's a whole lot of Jedi left. Like there's Ahsoka running around. Obviously, Ezra Bridger is, somewhere out. Oh, yeah, okay. He's somewhere out there, either on that distant planet, or he might be back in this galaxy. It's again unknown when exactly it's going on, but yeah. So there aren't a whole lot of Jedi running around. Like Luke Skywalker is there, but he's busy. He's otherwise, doing something with Grogu right now.
Yeah,
So,
he's trying to rebuild the Jedi Order. He can't be turning up to defend things like out in the outer rims.
Exactly. What I find interesting though is that, like, I'm wondering what is this ship and why did they? So because they attack it, right? So we get like you said, we get this like space battle. A bunch of pirates jump in, start shooting everybody, and also nice little reference there. These little melons right there. That is something that's popped up in a lot of Dave Filoni stuff. That's a Meluron fruit.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, that's in Star Wars Rebels. That pops up in, like, I think the last episode of the last season of Clone Wars. Bad Batch had those. Like, it's a recurring thing. And it's just like, oh, the Melurons. So anyway, but yeah, we get a battle. We get this guy who is very obviously Jude Law, unless you are like 6 years old and don't know how to recognize adult voices yet.
Yeah, I had a moment of going, oh, who's this guy? And then I was like, oh, yeah, that British accent. This is going to have to be Jude Law. I love his little helmet mask thing in here. There's a couple of design things I like about it. It has some sort of almost Mandalorian vibes. Kind of reminds me of like old, not entirely, but like the KOTOR sort of Mandalorian helmets. And I like that the top of it, I think, is like a reference to like a tricorn hat to try and give him that pirate vibe.
And agreed. And let me see. We also got this dude in the back. Let me see if I can get on him. This guy, the fucking, I think his name is Brutus. I love this the aesthetic of him having like multiple blasters, like strewn across his chest like a pirate. It's like some like the flintlock shit. I love that, and I really hope before the show is over, we get to see him like do an all out battle where he grabs like different blasters and shoots them until they're empty. Grabs another blaster. I really want to see that kind of stuff because that'd be cool.
That'd be really cool.
Patrick says same vibes as the Inquisitor helmet. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I can see that.
It would be. It's a different design, and it's not the same. But it'd be kind of cool if it turns out like he got that from the Jedi Temple or something like that. It's a Jedi, a Temple guard, mask or something of that nature that's been tweaked with.
It does almost looks a little bit like the sort of the youngling helmets, the ones that cover their eyes when they're training with their lightsabers.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that'd be cool. But so what I wanted to ask you here is that, so they attack this guy. He mentions like, we don't have any credits. We're not, we're just a transport ship. We're just not doing it. And he questions why the vault why they have such a strong vault. He ends up throwing the dude out the airlock, which that's some cold shit. Like, not something we see a whole lot of in Star Wars, but and him like, them opening the vault while the guy's like, no, like screaming off into the distance. I'm like, that's kind of an awesome way to open this up. But so they get in there and there's only one credit. So my question to you is, what do you think is up with this ship? Like, what was this, a decoy? Was this something specifically to catch this guy?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my first thought was, it makes sense to me that their vault isn't necessarily always going to have stuff in it. If they're in a run where they have to go pick up like a bunch of cargo, then they have to go take it somewhere, and then they get paid once it's delivered, they might not have credits on board. That would kind of make sense to me. But his reaction, obviously he knows he's going to die, but like defending the place and things, I'm like, maybe there's something else to it, because if they had nothing of value, it probably would have been easier just to surrender to these pirates, let them see they've got nothing.
Exactly. It's like, instead of being like, I demand you leave, it's just like, dude, look, I'll open the door for you. We have nothing. So
yeah, that bit's weird when he does the New Republic protects us. I say all pirate scum should get off this ship. I'm like, mate, in what world was that going to work?
Yeah, dude, and clearly the Republic doesn't protect you, because where were the X-Wings? At least one, fucking A.
Yeah, he doesn't even threaten them with it. He doesn't even go the New Republic will come after you, for doing this, and you'll be hunted down or anything like that. He's just like, so get out.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and that very much goes the way you'd expect it, again, with him getting thrown out the airlock. But so also, I just like this real quick. You can see him in the background, the Jaleel White character. I
didn't even recognize him as Jaleel White.
Yeah, no, without hair, he looks like a very different guy.
Yeah.
And let me see if I can also see it, because I saw it a couple of times. Let's see here. So yeah, again, this dude is just really cool. All right, here we go. So you can see him right here on the right. That is the same dude from he's one of the pirates that attacked Navarro in episode 9, I believe, of season 3 of The Mandalorian. It was the pirate.
I can never remember the name of their species. I've looked it up a couple of times. It always escapes me. By the way, I really like the Gran that's on the other side of Jude Law, with one of his eye stalks missing and the eye patch. I think that's cool little design detail. It's really nice.
That is pretty cool. Also, we get to see earlier in the battle, when they first board the ship, the guy, one of the guys, I forget the race too. He's one of the ones with the beak. He gets shot in the eye and just shakes that off like it's nothing.
Yeah, that guy's super hardcore.
Okay,
now, this show, one of the things about it is that in this very opening, but as it goes on further, they've really committed to our aliens have to be aliens. They have to be as mixed and as varied as the first time you see the cantina on Tatooine. I know a lot of people felt that was something that, of many things, that was one of the flaws of the J.J. Abrams movies. Was you go to that bar that's kind of like the cantina in episode 7, episode 7, in The Force Awakens, and they're quite kind of generic. All the aliens are brown. They're all kind of basically the same shape. Whereas this show has gone no. This is a whole galaxy full of billions of creatures. We're going to have loads of cool, diverse characters. And I keep thinking that I should mention this. I love the fact that they brought back the kind of Wolfman alien.
Yeah.
I saw a thing about it recently about how it was literally a werewolf mask they had, but they had to, add more and more creatures to that cantina scene. So it became canon that there's a Wolfman alien in Star Wars. And they're like, yeah, let's use it.
Oh, yeah. Apparently that Wolfman originally got CGI'd out when George Lucas released the special editions. The Wolfman mask got CGI'd out of the movie. But there were other characters that later on got put into Clone Wars and other shows that were wolf characters. So, but yeah, the fact that they did this in live action and they actually have a working animatronic mouth and the guy looks really good, I think that was a great choice. Brutus might be a little on the nose, but it's naming in Star Wars. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, with that epic opening, that kind of slows down the episode from here, because then we lead into the nerdy kid's bedroom, which I do kind of like how they make this thing of even in a galaxy far, far away, there's Star Wars nerds playing with fucking lightsaber toys and fucking shit like that. He has little X-Wing toys and not really mass produced handmade things. That seems to be how Star Wars works, is that if your child has toys, it's probably the ones that he carved or made himself.
Yeah, that was something that I was kind of raging about. Not raging, but I kept sort of shouting at the screen of you have interstellar travel, you have faster than light speed travel, and these are the action figures we have. This sucks.
Also, the food you have, dude. What is that milk? You're drinking gray milk.
I didn't know if it was
not have banthas.
Yeah. Well, which we'll probably get into the second episode, but it seems like there might be an explanation for why things are a bit different here. Like it kind of looks like it is pretty basic Star Wars, but there are some like differences. Yeah, it is gray milk.
Yeah, that's as I saw that, I'm just like, gross. That's disgusting. Like, I don't even know. You don't see any animals really on this planet. You don't see any ships. Like, so like, all right. So I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Like, we get, this kid whose name is Wim. Very basic opening of like his dad is kind of like oh well, I have to work late, so here's your lunch money. Make sure you do this, and the kid's like in his own world, like playing with his toys, and yeah, we get to see that that he's very much like. I don't want to say a neglected child, but his dad is like a workaholic, and he's just kind of, again, head in the clouds. Kind of, he's that kid from ET.
Yeah. Like his dad's from so many family movies. He's Jim Carrey from Liar Liar. He's every dad who's like, oh, you should have spent more time with your family instead of working. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a kind of classic setup. I think this is where I got kind of tired with a lot of this show, because while some things were nice, like again, I like the fact that you have a lot of aliens. I like the fact that like, no, one of our lead characters is going to be an alien, so we require puppeteering and interesting stuff like that. The Star Tours robot is driving the tram. As a kid who was on that ride in Disneyland Paris in the 90s, it's very nice to see.
That is very cool. So I just want to point out a few things about this. So first of all, yeah, that droid, which is not something we see a whole lot of. Like it's been added here and there in other Star Wars things, but we don't see a whole lot of this. Also, these weird like hover cars that they have that are on like cables. Like you can see right there that it's on like a cable and it goes on like on a track. That's something we don't really see in the Star Wars universe, which makes me think this might be like a old Republic planet. Hang on a second. My dog is lining up.
Yeah, the trams do sort of, you see little subtle things that I'll be perfectly honest, I didn't pick up on at first to suggest as to, and Patrick's mentioned it in the chat already, but it kind of gets more revealed in the second episode that this planet is not actually exactly the same as all the other Star Wars planets we've seen, which possibly explains why it is kind of like an American suburb. Like maybe there are, for the rest of the galaxy, there just aren't the places that you can make a life like this, especially after all the turmoil of the Clone Wars and then the Empire.
Yeah, and what I think is interesting, and I didn't notice it at first, but then on a second watch, I'm like, oh, holy shit! There's no spaceships in the sky. Like you notice that right away when you start looking. Like unlike any other planet, there's no ships taking off, landing. There's nothing flying around in the sky. They're just like everything is very much earthbound, kind of on this, and it is it's Star Warsy, but it's also not, because it's like you can see Arabesh, you can see droids all over, and like Rhodians, you see different aliens from the Star Wars universe, but it also feels kind of like, what kind of Twilight Zone-y world is this?
Yeah, like there was something that I thought was interesting, and I don't know, because when I saw the Rhodian, I had that thought of how, because I've asked it before about like, hey, why don't we see more Rhodians? And people said, like the Rhodians like have this culture of being like pirates a lot of the time. Their species were like originally like predators, and they've kind of got this sort of vicious attitude to them, whereas the Rhodians in this don't. It seems that everyone here just kind of lives and works together. So I didn't pick up on the fact that maybe that suggests that this is different. I was more just like, oh, cool. I'm really glad that someone is doing different things with some of these species. There are species that are just kids in this school that we've only ever seen as like, scum and villainy somewhere on Tatooine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm curious about this. We see this green dude. That is a first for me. I've never seen that alien before, and that's kind of a cool start. We also get to see, like, again, a weird new kind of droid that we've never seen before, and a little bit of how their society works. Like everything seems to be done by droids. Like the bus driver, droid. All the truancy officers, like children, go to class, that they're all droids. All the teachers are droid. It seems like, and then we learn literally in this same thing when this lady comes in, she's like a head administrator or whatever. She's like, so remember, your test is tomorrow, and make sure you do well, because this will, it's like the whatever the SAT or whatever. It's like your aptitude test to see what you're best suited to do. And it seems like everybody wants to be a bean counter on this planet.
Yeah, and there was an interesting thing where that I can't remember what they said exactly, but they said that like no one gets that job. That's what we have droids to do. So
Yeah, he says he wants to help people. Like when Wim says he wants to help people.
Yeah, so there's very much an attitude of like, yeah, like you say, droids have replaced certain jobs in its entirety.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Planet is a social experiment or cloaked itself and is living in isolation. I don't know why, but I like the sort of idea that this is Star Wars equivalent of Vault Tech.
It's kind of eerie though, isn't it? Like everything is done by droids. Like they're all like, again, like they say, like, oh, we don't need, that's not a career. Like you can't, like, first responder being like a medical personnel or like a police officer. Like in theory, that's all done by droids on this planet. And that's just, is this a Star Wars show or an eerie look into the future of America?
Like it's interesting that they bring it up because like I think the way droids work sometimes in Star Wars can be a bit confusing, especially when you look at like more sort of places where they clearly have more money, like people on Coruscant, and it is like, well, yeah, why would anyone do this when you could just have a droid do it? Mm-hmm. You can understand it a bit more, and like in like the backwaters areas of the galaxy where it's like we literally can't afford droids, so we have to do this work ourselves. But you just be like, oh well, if you're in a place where there's loads of money around, yeah, like every taxi driver would just be a droid. In fact, everyone who can drive wouldn't. They would have like either a self-driving car or a droid that drives.
Yeah, so that's just the kind of weird thing about this planet. Again, like the fact that they're really seem to be all focused on being like administrative or like desk jobs and bean counters, and that's just like that the grand work or the great works or whatever is that's what they consider to be like. That's a lot of eerie stuff. And then the fact that later on by the end of the episode we find out that there's a barrier around the planet, like there's like a green barrier that blocks out the stars and like you can't see anything.
There is one other thing that is very weird about the planet that comes up in that scene. Why, in the name of all that is holy, do they have Etch-a-Sketch desks? Once again, you can create functional AI with personalities that are teaching your children, but you don't have a stylus or a touchscreen. You have fucking Etch-a-Sketch like knobs to do it. Like that is insane. They show like a whole school of children completing a test on that. I'm like, what? How is that happening?
I mean, if we're gonna be honest, if we're gonna start poking holes in the education system of Star Wars, what the hell is the what is it? The base? What do they call it?
The base table of 5. And like his dad asks him what that is, and there's a bit where he goes like, "Oh, it's like 1.7698 or something." I'm like, that. What is that? Is that a real math thing? Or like
what is a base table? I googled it. I couldn't find anything for a base table. And when I try to be like, okay, well, are they talking about a square root? That is not the square root of 5.
Yeah, no, I was at first I was like, is this either like to try and show that they're doing incredibly advanced maths for children that age, like we wouldn't expect children, or is it like, nah, this is just insane Star Wars math that doesn't make any sense? We made it up.
Yeah, I mean it's insane. I'm gonna just go give it on the side of it's insane Star Wars math that it doesn't make any sense because frankly Star Wars logic doesn't make any sense. Like let's just assume that this is like important things that these children need to learn.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's important.
So I really do like this part where he's like, they have the argument of like, I can't believe you told people you wanted to be a Jedi, like because he says he wants to help people. It's very clearly talking about that. And we see him multiple times looking at his little book that, talks about different Jedi adventures and whatever, and has a scene in it that very strangely looks like Luke Skywalker fighting a Rancor. But
sorry, there are some interesting things. Like I complain a little bit because I think it's a bit silly that they have this weird thing with some technology seems really outdated, and some stuff is very advanced. But I like was mentioned earlier about them using the little hollow table like they had in the holiday special.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that does look like a Rancor fight. I do kind of like that the stuff they have really harks back to that. Yeah, there it is. When I saw that, I was quite impressed. I was like, oh god, like not only is it the little holodeck table, but it is like the Cirque du Soleil. It is exactly like the holiday special. And
Yes.
do you know what? Like, credit to them for having the balls to even like admit that it still exists.
Yeah, and, like that's funny because that means that, but also that raises many questions of like, is the Star Wars holiday special like, are some of those sketches like just things you can watch in Star Wars, like in the Star Wars universe?
I
Are
mean,
those just
I
like,
guess it makes sense. Yeah, you know, like Chewie and the elephant dad shopped at the same place and got, well, I guess they didn't because if it's cut off, but like, yeah, these weird cassettes of
yeah,
hologram.
because his son was watching the same hologram on his table, so it's just like I guess this is just something you can just buy in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
It's just so weird. But yeah, so going back to I do like that though. That is a cool reference to it, and it is acknowledging that yes, this exists. Get over it. Like it's a goofy thing, but there it is. But yeah, so we get to have him like let me see here, or we get to have this part. Like, I really liked how when they're arguing about it, like when he says like, "Don't you want to do something exciting?" and the kid says, "Like what?" We get to see it transitions instantly into this, and I think that's kind of a cool transition for that. Like I kind of like this scene, and maybe it's cliched because it's the same kind of thing. It's the cool character. It's the Corey Feldman. It's the it's the character. It's the character who's like the one who calls to adventure and like is actually the one who's competent.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think this show does the balance of, is it classic and a reference to stories we've seen before, or is it cliche and we're tired of it? And I think it manages to stay more on the side of classic for most of the way. Like I said, I think this first episode drags a bit while it's in this section, but it does establish some interesting things, like the two characters who are on that bike. Yeah, so we get this interesting part here where we learn that this girl who was playing hooky from school is on a hover bike and seems to be trying to race hover bikes, because there's a bit where a guy comes up to also power converters. And my immediate thing was, I was like, you got to go to Tashi Station. Everyone knows this. I guess they can't.
Power converter. Yeah, I love the idea that her bike, even though it shuts down, is still floating. It's still fucking hovering.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing there. But yeah, so we get a couple of things. So that character we find out is the daughter of the supervisor. And the supervisor definitely seems to be doing a bunch of Nepo baby stuff there, where she said that she's top of her class when clearly she's not going to class. So I feel like the teachers probably know better than that. But they have to listen to the supervisor, I suppose. And I like that her friend has what appears to be Lobot implants.
Yep.
I did enjoy spending some time calling her Lieutenant Joanna LaForge all the way through this.
She does kind of look like Geordi, doesn't she? With the visor.
Yeah, real Geordi LaForge vibes. And Star Wars has always shown that the galaxy has a weird attitude towards children. But I was a little bit like, Jesus, like you put those implants into a kid? like we're going to be like, your brain's going to function weird and it's going to half be a computer.
So again, a Star Wars story or a scary look at what America is one day going to be. Because Elon Musk has his way, we're all going to have fucking chips in our brain to control our Starlink or some shit.
I forgot he did the whole chip thing, didn't he? Well, did. He didn't do shit. He invested maybe in somebody.
Yeah. He's trying to do that. So, so I'm going to try to skip through this episode because, like you said, it kind of drags on. It doesn't, not a whole lot happens, even though, like, we just get a lot of establishing, like, the girl is the secretary's daughter. The dad is really, like, neglectful, and he's like, you need to grow up, son, and stop talking about this Jedi nonsense. And the elephant kid is kind of just like the fat kid. He's the chunk of this show. He's just kind of there.
Yeah, he is. He's like he doesn't want to get into any trouble, but his best friend is, really encouraging him to do something and frankly lying to him. But like, I don't know, maybe it's just because I just literally like puppets, but I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, let's get the elephant kid around here.
Jesus Christ, Patrick. Maybe that girl had murders predestination and they had to cut parts of her brain out. Jesus.
Wow. Could be interesting.
Those Ewok movies are so depressing as a kid. Did they ever pick up what happened to the blonde little girl from it? Did the character ever appear again? I don't know, but apparently one of those aliens from that movie, from the Ewok movie, is in this series at the pirate spaceport.
Patrick has said the cab driver creature is from the second Ewok spin-off movie.
Yeah, the one that like the little tiny thing that when they give him the credit shit, he runs off all cheery.
Oh, that thing, right? Okay.
So here we're getting ahead. We'll kind of skip ahead to it. He ends up like being late for the test. Obviously, he finds the ship, and then convinces his buddy to go out to the woods and find it, which the girls also find. And let me see here. That's when I kind of this part kind of bugs me of like I know it's just children being like we called it first. Well, I called backseat. Well, we called no backseats. You can't call that kind of crap. Like it's to me that's a cliche and that's tired, but
yeah,
whatever.
Some of it I felt like I felt like some of the things in this first episode don't establish any character things enough to justify being left in this episode. And I was really like, come on, just like let's speed through this, And like, one of the things I was doing when I was watching it, I was trying to remember the first episode of Stranger Things, and I was like, how much establishing stuff that I have to see in Stranger Things that I didn't care about. And I don't know, like I felt like Stranger Things did it better, but I feel like you could really speed run through a lot of this.
Agreed. Yeah. Like, and it's really just to get us to this last like 10 minutes of episode. Like everything we get to for here is just to get us to, they open the ship. The fact that the kid thinks it's a Jedi temple drives me fucking insane. I'm like, I think part of that is because they, like we said earlier, they've never seen a spaceship. Like they've never been on it to a spaceport. They don't know what that really looks like. So maybe he doesn't know. But I'm like, bro, in what world is any of this a Jedi temple? Like, when you start seeing like the power comes on and you see like the blinking lights and shit, I'm like, it's very clearly a spaceship.
Yeah, no, this definitely isn't a spaceship. Also, like he sees a droid, he knows what droids look like, but still says that he's found a skeleton.
Yeah, that's a great. I found a skeleton. It's like, no, you didn't. You very clearly found a droid. You know what? Your teacher is a droid, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, you see droids all the time. Like, there's no justification for that.
Yeah, no, that was dumb. Like, there's a few things in here that, again, like it's weirdly said, and like I thought at first I was like chalked it up to clunky dialogue, but then when we found out that this is like a secluded planet from the rest of the galaxy, I'm like, oh, maybe it's not. Maybe this is just their understanding, because maybe they're not. Maybe they're kind of backwoods as far as like the Star Wars universe is concerned.
Yeah, something like that. So it's kind of cool. One of the things I do like about this, so because you get the Geordie LaForge girl. Gets the ship started by hitting it, which is kind of funny, it's all right. I did have one bit when she opens the door to this place, because she finds like a control panel on the door, opens it up and hooks herself up to it. And I turned to my girlfriend and I was like, when you have these implants, you've got these wires and circuits going directly into your brain. Surely there would be a best practice thing of like, don't go sticking your USB cable into strange ports. Like, you don't know what you're going to pick up from this thing.
Like, that's how you get a computer virus.
Like, exactly. Or like, what if like it's really old and like you get like a feedback or something and it shocks you and then you have a stroke because like something fucked up your brain.
Also, that begs the question. So we don't know how old this ship is and how long it's been there. Presumably for at least a few decades, based off of like the dead bodies and the skeletons. Like there are real skeletons that they find, and the kid's all just like, I bet they died in a duel. Like, so he's way too excited about there being dead bodies on this thing. But yeah, like so. What I'm saying is that it might have been a couple of decades at least, based off of that, and so. The fact that her technology, the thing that she has in her head, is able to plug into the ship and it works. I'm like, dude, how universal is the tech? Like, if you have a computer from 20 years ago, you ain't gonna plug a USB into it,
Yeah, I mean, thank God that her stuff isn't made by Apple, and it's like, oh no, it's just a different port. I just can't use it. This is a lightning cable, but these are USB-C now.
Exactly. Like a few decades or not even a decade, a few months go by and the new thing comes out and now it's a different port. So I'm like, the fact that use that Star Wars technology is so like just adaptable to everything. That's great.
Yeah, in fact, yeah, like if that's one of the things that we can take from this, I would like to do that. And we're getting there. Almost everything runs off a USB-C now, and I'm very happy about it.
And if we can keep it that way, I'm happy. But watch, next month we're gonna find out. It's like, oh yeah, now we have USB F. It's like, what happened to D and E? Don't worry about it.
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
So I love this. Again, like this is kind of a cool thing. So I guess if you're a little kid and you're not well versed in it, then you can't really tell this is a ship. And the reason being, I like how they do this, that the ship is actually upside down. Like this is probably one of the coolest parts of the episode is when he turns the ship on like an idiot. He presses the green button like he shouldn't, and then next thing you know, ship turns on and flips upside around.
I was quite proud of that kid for touching that button. I was like, come on, touch the button. Come on. We know that this is what's going to lead us to something interesting. Let's do it.
And I love how like this kid. So I'm curious, real quick, before we get any further. Do you think this kid's a Jedi, or well, not Jedi, but do you think he's like a Force user or like Force sensitive or anything like that? Because he keeps on talking about Jedi, he keeps on being all like, ooh, and did the Force cause him to did he push the button on his own, or did the Force nudge him in that direct? Like the normal Star Wars nerd questions.
I like he could be. I think it would be more interesting if he's not. If that he, I think it would be nice just to have like sorry, you're not a Jedi. Doesn't mean that you're not, cool and that you can't have adventures and you can't be important. You're just not a Jedi, my guy.
Yeah, just there's no lightsabers in your future except
or,
that.
Or just like Jude Law does like an Anakin thing, and he's like, "You are way too old. Like, dream on, kid."
See, I wouldn't be surprised. We'll get into that. Oh, we'll get into that. I wouldn't be surprised if Jude Law fuck it, I'm gonna say it now. I wouldn't be surprised if Jude Law actually manipulates this kid, being like, maybe I could teach you some stuff, maybe I could make you a Jedi, and then uses that to get what he wants out of him.
I think you're on something there. That would make a lot of sense.
But yeah, so this was probably one of the coolest things. Like as I said, they get into the ship. They very I like how they spend way too much time standing on the out when they realize it is a spaceship. They spend entirely too much time standing outside of it instead of getting back in.
Yeah, I didn't like that. It felt like an attempt to try and add like some stakes to this episode to like have a bit of drama, but it was just kind of dumb. And I know like, oh, they're kids are dumb, but I was like, oh, come on, just like it seems like a waste of time to be everyone run out the ship. Oh my god, everyone get back in the ship. And then they spend age where almost all of them are holding on to him, and they don't pull him in. And I'm like, just pull him in. Just pull him in. You've got him. Just do it now. I'm tired. Come on, let's move on.
It's like I got a whole other episode to watch. Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do kind of like that. It is kind of a cool thing that the kids get in there and again they seem genuinely surprised by what they see when they get through the barrier. Like, let me see here. Yeah, they get through there. They see a field of stars, and they're like, "Oh my god, what are those?" Like they've never seen like stars before. So I was kind of into that. They have the same reaction that I like to believe I would if I ever went to space.
Yeah, no, that's true. And like, I will admit, like when I watched this, I missed some dialogue. I think about the barrier bit, so I got a little confused. So I was like, "Wait, what? They're stars? What do you mean you ain't seen stars?" But I think like one of the things I liked about this episode was it ended where it needed to end. Like I like the fact they're in space and they go, "Cool, that's it. We're going on to the next episode." Also, Patrick, I do like your thing of give the kid a broom and find out.
I understood that reference. Help, I'm being repressed. I also understood that reference. But yeah, so the kids, I love this how they're sitting there all dumbstruck by it, and then out of nowhere it kicks into hyperspace, which is also another dialogue we get from in the next episode. She's the little girl, the KB, the one with like Lobot vibes. She says, "Well, if that was hyperspace," so again, that's not something that they are fully aware of or even like know what it is. Yeah, so let me see here. All right, so we go into the next episode. We're going to skip the recap because we don't give a shit about that. God damn it. I said skip the recap, damn you. Okay. And so, yeah, we jump into the next episode, and now they're just on the other side of the galaxy. like in some undisclosed area, and they have no idea what's up. So, which honestly, if you're if you are a child, like I was wondering when I first saw the trailers for this, I'm like, okay, so how are they going to get, how, like, it seems like everyone knows how to fly a ship and everyone knows like where the galaxy is and what's going on. How are these how is this even a thing? And it's like, okay, I kind of like how they're setting it up that these kids are completely ignorant of the entire galaxy at large.
Yeah, like I think better than, say better than Last Jedi and its whole thing of we want to do something that doesn't meet your expectations. We have had these expectations set up of, well, everyone in Star Wars can fly a ship. Like we've never seen someone get into a ship and go like, what the hell is this? And it was really nice to have this, and it possibly might go towards the thing of him not being a Force user because like he hasn't got the Anakin Skywalker thing. Like I kind of appreciate that this kid like really wants to be the hero of this story. So him there going like, I can turn it off, I can turn it off, I can figure this out. And yeah, there are moments where he says like, "Oh, can I fly it?" And they're like, "No, you can't. Like, stop it." And he doesn't have that bit of like, suddenly as soon as he's behind the helm of any ship, he's just like doing backflips and killing everyone. It's just like, no, he's a kid who's had no experience outside of his little hometown.
Exactly. He's not Anakin flying. I've been flying and bullseyeing womp rats in my T-16. Like, yeah, no, that didn't happen. Well, that was Luke, but still, like the point stands that he wasn't doing that. He didn't do a pod race. He was, he has a hover bike. So, but yeah. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, Patrick says, doesn't the ship keep a log of jumps or any previous location stuff? So I think that the show, because they have a moment where they ask the droid about that, which we'll see.
Enter Nick Frost's character, SM33, which I do like the reference to. It's Smee.
Yeah, Smee. So like Smee. Stop me, Smee.
Save me, Smee.
Don't try and stop me, Smee. Don't try and stop me. Stop me, Smee. Oh, I love Hook. So yeah, they asks me, sort of like look in your data banks for your last location, and he doesn't know. And this is where I think they are angling towards this Treasure Island sort of plot of that, whoever left this ship here seems to have deliberately prevented there being any records that it's here. And so, we might be onto a very classic pirate story of this is the place where they have buried some sort of treasure. Treasure could be anything, it doesn't have to just be credits, it could be something else. And they have hidden it away from the rest of the world. And so this could tie into the barrier. Maybe the barrier thing was already there, but they use this place as the perfect hiding spot. We don't know. But exactly. I like the fact it's already setting up this intrigue that feels like such classic adventure story to me that I'm really happy to see it.
Yeah. And it definitely it has that like Captain Flint kind of thing of like he like it's like this abandoned ship that everybody's searching for that has this untold treasure on it, but instead of the ship, it's the planet itself. Like, because apparently this is like I have a feeling this is going to be some kind of like the barrier is some kind of time distortion thing. Like
I wouldn't want to be something like that. Yeah, whether because like. Yeah, we'll get onto it as we see it. I like this whole thing with Smee. I think it's a nice way that they're establishing the girl who was playing Hooky as the bold one, like you said, the one that does the call to adventure, and she's just like, okay, I'll improv this. I killed your captain, so now I'm your captain.
Dude, seriously, like, she is the smartest of the entire crew. I'm like, of these 4 children, she's by far the smartest one, because then instantly the robot is just like, okay, captain, and is just like down with it, and he doesn't question it, and she's just like, all right, so teach me how to fly my ship. And like, I do like her go-getter like attitude. And maybe some people would be like, oh, but she's a girl. Girls don't fuck all y'all. She's cool. I like her.
I can kind of see that already being the internet turd argument against this thing of like, well, the boys in this show don't know how to do anything, but the girls are the ones who know how to do anything. I'm like, yeah, because we're doing something different. It's fine. Shut up.
More than that, I'm like Stranger Things. I'm like, did you not see the girl character in there, or fucking, let me see, other examples, I'm sure.
Yeah, or I would say things about Lord of the Rings, and like Lord of the Rings, it's all these guys, but Arwen can still fuck shit up and make like a river into horses and whatever. It's
Exactly.
fine, and Frodo still sucks and does nothing. Like that's the thing. Sometimes your lead character isn't very good at stuff, and that's kind of the point.
Okay, so yeah, exactly. To build on that point, yeah, sometimes the lead character is pointless to the fucking story, i.e., Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
He's just there.
Yeah, no, seriously, with or without Indiana Jones, the Nazis find the Ark, open it, and all die.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Movie. So anyway, the point is, doesn't matter, boy, girl. Sometimes characters can be pointless. Sometimes they can be awesome. Just let it be. And but yeah, so we get that. We get them being like the badasses, and then this kid, like, again, I love how they have to keep on telling him, stop touching shit, like, don't do any of this. But I'm also hoping that the little red button gets used sometime. It's like the whole demolition sequencer, so it's like the self-destruct button. I really hope that gets used. That is Chekhov's button. I want them to
that's got to come up at some point. If I suspect that this might go on almost exactly the plot of Treasure Planet / Treasure Island / Treasure Planet. So, Jude Law's going to be our Long John Silver, and maybe that whole thing is that button might be a threat to him, of like he's going to abandon everyone and go off with the treasure. But they're like, nah, screw you. If you don't get us like back, I'm going to blow the ship up and all the treasure with it.
See, yeah, I would like that. Or like, we'll blow the ship up and you won't be able to find our home, and I think Adam will be lost to you, because that's the whole thing. So yeah, we're kind of focusing a lot on the fact that they're hanging out with the droid, but they tell the droid. Well, actually, here, let's go ahead and jump back to this, because I do want to talk about the sinister like feel that this has. That they send out these freaky like droids to like, sir, this is a restricted area. What are you doing here? And it feels very ET with the government guys with the flashlights.
Yeah, and it was interesting, like, because I noticed the kind of security camera head droids, and when you see them just within the school situation, you're like, okay, like yeah, they're there to, like you say, they're truancy officers. They're there to catch kids who aren't going to school. But then this suggests actually there's more to them than that, and it's almost like a police state that they're living in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's like a big brother is watching you kind of thing, and it freaks me out. And when they hear that the children have broken the barrier, they instantly freak out and they're like, "Come with us, sir. We need to talk to you." And I'm like, "Uh-oh." So yeah, we do have a little part where Neil and Wim are exploring the ship. We get to see the skeletons that have been on there, like presumably the old captain or somebody.
I really liked that. I liked it. I don't. Well, maybe some people won't like this, but I noticed they find some like stuff in this ship that are like such classic pirates. Like he puts a hat on in here that is exactly just like a regular pirate hat. Like it's not like a helmet. Yeah, it's not like a helmet or anything. It's just like it's just a big old like pirate hat that you would see in Pirates of the Caribbean. So I was like, okay, so in this world, like they almost have like pirates do exactly the same thing as our pirates did, like for no good reason, but they're just like, this is what everyone who's called to the Seven Seas does, even if the Seven Seas is actually the stars.
The 7 galaxies. Yeah, no, but I do love, dude. If I had a ship like this, that'd be the tits. Because like, look at that view. That'd be awesome to have your bedroom be like in the fucking, like you could see outside into the fucking space when you're flying through hyperspace. That's kind of cool.
It is pretty incredible.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, we get a lot of this. Like, kid picks up a compass. Which, why do they have a compass in space? I don't know. You don't know. It's pirates.
That's a good point. Why is there a compass in space?
It's pirates. I don't know. You don't know. We're not asking questions. We're just enjoying the fact that it's a pirate story. Look, a telescope. He picks up a fucking telescope. Does it make any sense? No, but it's cool. And yeah, so the little girl, she tells him, take them to like the nearest like spaceport, or like the last location that this ship was at. And so he takes them to I forget what it was called, but yeah, she basically just takes him to a pirate location. What is essentially Tortuga.
That ship that's in the back of that shot, that's the ship that got raided, or at least it's the same style of ship that got raided in the first episode.
Oh, maybe they took. Yeah, that would actually make sense. Maybe they took the ship. I think that is the same ship. I think they might have taken it and put it as part of their like fleet.
Yeah.
That's I didn't notice that. That's fucking cool. But yeah, so that's a cool little detail I didn't notice. But so yeah, they fly in here. Presumably, I guess whoever ran this ran with these pirates too, because you notice the ship is actually like decked out with the same stripes and it has the same like design.
Mm.
So that's something where I think I'm curious. So who do you think like ran the ship? Like, or do you think it's going to matter?
I don't know if it'll matter. Based on my knowledge of other pirate ship stories, you need a Captain Flint sort of character. So it's going to be, some sort of like character that we never actually see. But people talk about of like, oh, this legend of this guy who went and hid his treasure somewhere and there he murdered his whole crew and never made it back. So it could be that sort of thing.
You mean you never heard the legend of One-Eye Wookiee?
I see what you did there.
Fucking Goonies. Yeah, nah. But anyway, so yeah, they go onto this planet. They get to this is freaky. Like I wouldn't want to go on to anywhere that you have to go in this tiny little like bubble, like long ship. I don't even know what this is, but like this is messed up. Like what kind of fucked up Star Wars shit is this?
One thing I really loved was like the like plastic, like just the plastic covering. So I was like, that's kind of cool. Of like, we see loads of kind of more rundown stuff in Star Wars. It's like the dirty sci. Oh god, yeah, it's taped together.
Like they're pushing it over and it's duct taped together. Dude, you guys know how close you are to death?
But yeah, so I kind of like that though. It's like, at least the ships that we see, Luke and Han and other people in, like, or like the Silver Stream from the Mandalorian. It's a bit run down. It doesn't look sleek. It doesn't look cool, but it's at least a metal like sealed in ship. But it's like, there's even worse than this stuff in the galaxy. There's like people like it's the equivalent of having no window in your car, but you just put a trash bag and taped it over. Like, I love it.
Basically, and that's just the whole thing is like terrifying. I'm like, I wouldn't want to have anything to do with that. But so yeah, this is kind of cool. They go to this like pirate spaceport, which feels very like. Some people I've been seeing a few reviews online early on, and some people have been saying how these didn't really feel like they were Star Wars, or they didn't have the vibe of it. And I think that like the first episode, absolutely, it has kind of like more of a Goonies, like like Stranger Things vibe in a Star Wars universe. This, to me, it's like very much brings us back to the Star Wars universe because we get a bunch of like, as soon as we get him fucking fiddling with his money, we get a bunch of different aliens like walking around. We get we see the guy who got shot in the eye in the first episode getting like it repaired. We get to see like these weird aliens like doing drugs and stuff like that. And then we get to see the kids walk past what is I'm pretty sure a whorehouse, and it's like, hey, should we go in there and go ask for directions? It's like, no, you shouldn't be anywhere near there. Like it's very clearly a brothel, and the kid is like, hey, why don't we go in there and look around? I'm like, no.
Yeah, I completely disagree with the idea. At least this part. This part feels so much like the spirit of Star Wars to me. Like, there are differences. Maybe we're seeing things we haven't seen, but we're seeing aliens that we never see. Like the woman that's next to the woman in the door, she's the same like species of one of Jabba's dancers, and like
indeed
they're that weird species that can take on loads of water, and that's why like they're huge and they do well in the desert because of that. And like people have been ignoring loads of like interesting Star Wars characters for decades now, and this show's like, no, let's bring them all in. And it's like going back to Mos Eisley. It gives you the feeling of like the first time Mos Eisley when you're seeing like, oh my god, look at that guy and that guy and that guy's the devil, and it's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Deveronian when you have the dude the dude with the horns. Like, and I noticed that too, that she was the same as the dancer. I'm pretty sure the chick standing next to her. Oh shit! I'm pretty sure the girl standing next to her is also like a reference to one of the other dancers, like the heavyset dancer that was in Jabba's palace.
Yes, that's actually who I was talking about. Yeah, because
oh yeah, this chick is also Yeah, this chick was one of the ones that, like, the one right here is she's the species that Boba Fett, like, you see him, like, bop her on the chin before he's hitting on her before he goes and messes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. No, yes, Patrick, the six-breasted dancer. That's what I thought. The one that like it's somewhere in the lore, like in a Legends thing, about how like that one, the bigger one, is Jabba the Hutt's favorite dancer because she reminds him of his mother. like
God.
it's in there somewhere. Like I remember looking this up once, but then there's also a pixie. There's just like a fairy like, in there.
Yeah, like weird little jellyfish creatures.
Oh yeah,
Like
the weird one-eyed squids.
this definitely feels like, some people might say it feels like more Star Trek, but I disagree. I think it feels very Star Wars. Like we get to see all these different aliens and all these different guys just wandering around, fucking around. And it's like that's kind of what we've grown, like what older fans have grown to love about Star Wars, is just seeing like the sheer variety of like aliens and people in the world. And I kind of like that.
And yeah, like I would definitely say that this, I think, is where Star Wars has always had an edge on Star Trek. Because Star Trek, has that thing of Star Trek wants to be a utopian version of the human future. Of like we could be this incredible spacefaring civilization, and we don't have money anymore, and we don't have war with ourselves anymore, and we explore. Whereas Star Wars always had that kind of grittier edge to it of like, no, it's more like a Western, and you've got to go into dive bars and find the guy in a shadowy corner to get the info from. You're not a diplomat. You're not there to learn from them. You're there to like get the hell off this rock.
Let's see. Speaking role in Skeleton Crew. And the speaking role in Skeleton Crew is also a dancer along with a road. Yeah, see what Patrick says. Like the chick who comes up to them and be like, "Hey, kids, are you kids? You can't be kids here. Don't be like, you need to get the hell out of here because they're gonna sell you into slavery." Like, which I mean, that's kind of true. You're two little girls at a pirate cove. That is like the worst thing to be at the worst place to be.
Oh yeah. No, it's not a good thing. And yeah, I think that's one of the things that's nice about this is I think it's really riding the edge. Again, sort of has that feeling of Goonies of like you get references to stuff that isn't appropriate for children, but you could still show this to children. Like, and we as adults can go like, oh yeah, no, this is seriously super dangerous and this is bad. But kids would be like, oh my God, like they're in the pirate port.
Yeah, like that's what. Yeah, because it's exactly, it dumbs it down. Like we all know what the red lights mean and what people walking into that establishment is. But at that point, it's also like for a little kid, they're just like, "What's that place? It's a club." That's all you have to say.
Yeah, or but like in one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies where like a bunch of women slap Jack Sparrow, and you're just like, "Oh, I'm not sure I deserve that." Oh, I did deserve that. It's like, yeah, because you banged them and didn't pay them. Like, or gave them whatever disease-ridden things you have on your pecker, buddy. Like, we know what you're like, Jack Sparrow.
Let me guess, you didn't deserve that one either. No, that one I deserved. I do love that. That first one is really great. So this is where we start learning a little bit about the what's going on here. Like the kids, they order whatever sick thing they got here. Whatever like weird noodle platter they got here, and from that he ends up paying him with what he says is a dietary, which I found out is also like that's a weird way of saying. So that's what what's his name, Qui-Gon called it in episode 1. He's like, I have 20,000 Republic dietaries, which is just another way of saying, just another way of saying Republic credit.
Right. So that's what I think. So I think this mouse guy says specifically like an old Republic credit. And I was like, does he mean the Republic before the Empire or the old Republic?
Yeah, I believe I'm hoping, God, am I hoping he means a old Republic like Revan and Bastila and that kind. Like I'm hoping they're talking about the old Republic, because if they are, I'm like, oh my God, please.
Yeah, because I would kind of like that if the idea of like like you said, that there could be some sort of temporal distortion with this barrier, or the idea that whatever treasure, whatever's been hidden here, has been hidden since the old Republic days. I think that would be really cool to see.
Like, so yeah, and the reason I'm thinking that this is like some kind of time distortion thing, like maybe it's not, because we also see the dad like immediately after, the kids like a little seriously a few minutes ago in this episode, he says like, oh, my kid got through the barrier or whatever. So we don't know what time is like there. But the reason I say that is because they very specifically in the first episode open with the the two girls, like their bullies show up and they're all like, "Oh, well, you're gonna race us tomorrow, right? Like, well, good luck with your broken butt." I'm like, I wonder why they would waste the time establishing that if it wasn't gonna be like they come back and somehow time has not moved very far for them.
Yeah, like very Marty McFly sort of stuff. Like turns up and like, well, I'm ready for the race now, or something along those lines. Yeah, okay, I can see that.
Yeah, some kind of something like that. But anyway, but yeah, so the reason so that I'm kind of thinking that because like you said, they used to talk about the Republic credits, and I'm like, okay, so if this is like old Republic stuff, and it seems like the droids are pretty dated, you know, with their like video camera heads and like the older stuff. I don't know. It just seems like yeah, like this planet is kind of missing. They don't realize that it's supposed to be like, you know, 30, 40 ABY or whatever. They think it's still like, you know,
yeah, way back in the day, they think the Republic. Well, maybe they don't think the Republic is still out there because they're hidden away from the world. But like,
yeah, maybe they don't realize, or maybe they're just not even thinking about it because they're just like, we don't go past the barrier. We don't, you know, we don't know what the Republic is because we just don't even think about it. Like this is just our money. So yeah, it causes a whole ruckus. The pirates all end up fighting over it, and before you know it, they end up having to run. Like I do kind of like how he does this. He just throws his food in the fire, and it goes up, and that implies that stuff is like is heavily flammable and possibly explosive.
I go back to my thing of like the creatures in this. I love this scene for the variety of aliens. Like I really like whatever the six-eyed mouse dude is, then the giant like toad that steps up to them. I think it's fantastic. Also, the one thing that I did think like felt very Star Trek to me, well, not really very Star Trek, but when he shows the money, my immediate thing was I was like, gold pressed latinum. I got very Ferengi about it. I was like, do you know how much gold pressed latinum I can get?
The first rule of what is it? Acquisition.
A deal is a deal is a deal.
Fucking, dude, I love Deep Space Nine for that. Like every episode, you learned another rule of acquisition.
They won't see this, but my brother and his girlfriend, after years of telling them they need to watch DS9, they finally watched DS9. They're big TNG fans. They were like, "Oh, I don't think I liked DS9." They've now watched it and they love it. And so for Christmas, I've bought my sister-in-law The Rules of Acquisition. like there is a book of them out there, and I've found them. So that's coming soon for her.
Fuck yeah.
I did also find a guy in the UK who 3D prints little fake gold press latinum. And I kind of really wanted to get it, but like you have to order it way in advance. So I wouldn't have got it by Christmas.
That is cool though. I'd like the idea of just like you give your brother like a sack of gold pressed latinum.
Yeah.
Oh man. Fucking nerds.
Well,
so yeah.
There was I can't remember the guy who plays Nervous Rex in Toy Story is the Grand Nagus of the Ferengi in DS9, and we keep seeing him in things like, you know, he's in like the Princess Bride, and he's in every time we see him, we now like we're just there all screaming like Quark, yeah, Quark, I need latinum.
Ah, shit, what is that guy's name? The Inconceivable. Wallace Shawn. Wallace Shawn.
Yeah.
Inconceivable.
Inconceivable.
You keep saying that word, but I don't think it means what you think it means. But anyway, so yeah, they end up running away. They end up running into the girls, and I like how the little girl. I don't know when she got a fucking blaster, but she totally did, and I like how she's sitting there like ballsy aiming at them. I'm like, dude, shoot them. Fucking.
Didn't she get it? Did she get it off of Smee?
She might have. Okay, that's true. She might have gotten it off the ship, but I'm just like, when did the hell? I'm watching this a couple of times. I'm like, when did she get the blaster? I don't remember any part where she actually like got the blaster from, because yeah, she pops up like that, like a badass. Well, kind of like she's just kind of aiming it at them, just like, don't stay back, but you know, gets the gun taken from her. But still, though, I'm like, all right, ballsy for a kid.
Yeah, she bottles it a bit. It would have been cool to see her just ice one of these guys. But I understand why. I understand why we don't have the children just murdering people.
Or at the very least, shoot him in the, like, you know, she's like, I'll shoot you, something, and does it, and then actually like hits someone's foot or something. Instead of killing him, she just like makes them like, ow, fuck it, goddamn kid, you know, something like that. I would have been okay with that, but yeah, we can't show kids shooting people. Too
Yeah,
much of that
but
happens already.
I like what we do get, which is obviously now Smee turns up and starts throwing hands.
That was really cool. Another thing, the fact that none of the pirates think to themselves, "Hey, should we just like shoot this droid or do something before it has the chance to get towards us?" No, they just let it. They just let it like come like menacingly towards them.
And he's like missing a foot, or he's got like a sort of peg leg, which I think is quite nice. I really appreciate that they have leaned so heavily into the pirate vibe of this whole show.
Agreed. It's kind of like I think that works, and we talked about it before with other series, like when we talked about Star Wars Visions. Like we were talking about how we really liked the aesthetic of the samurai vibe. We really like the aesthetic of the fucking Western in the Mandalorian. Like this, it's pirates. Like it is like it's a tried and true thing of like you take a genre that is already liked by people, throw it into Star Wars, and I think it actually has become a fairly good concept, and it works really well, at least in the
Yeah,
second episode.
I think so far this show is doing it better than Ahsoka had that sort of thing of the kind of medieval knights sort of look to some characters and things, but I don't feel like Ahsoka committed to that like as much as this has. And so I think it's much more successful in this. Although I was thinking I might give Ahsoka another watch at some point because I was remembering some bits of it and I was like I do like some parts of that show.
Yeah, no, it has some really good episodes. I think the flashback, like her Force Vision episode, is really good, like with the Hayden Christensen episodes. But yeah, no, those ones work really well, and I think I do want to kind of go back and watch some of the other Star Wars shows and like try to see if they like not necessarily the animated ones, but yeah, these other ones, and see if they still hold up or if I was just like nostalgic for them.
Maybe
like maybe like Mandalorian episode or seasons 1 and 2. See if those actually are still as good as I remember.
Oh yeah, I like to believe they are, and so I really like Hans' comment. So please don't start throwing Hans; it hurts.
Yuck, yuck, yuck. So I do love this thing of like, why did you bring us to a pirate station? Because we are pirates. Is like, and she's like, we are not pirates, we're children. Why can't children be pirates? And then he ends up getting shot. Like I really thought that was funny, and the fact that we end up with again we get Wolfsbane over here showing up like. Let me see here. We get the wolf dude. We get the Graham that you were talking about with the missing eye. We get the dude from Mandalorian season 3, and then we get someone's grandma who got to be an extra.
She looks a bit like the woman from Orange Is the New Black, the one who like was like a survivalist and like an absolute badass.
Kinda, yeah. I just like the idea that there's like this lady who's like looks like she's in her 60s, 70 years old, and she's still a badass enough to be a pirate. But yeah, so we get them. They take them to the brig or whatever, and throw them in there. And that's when they're like we get this ridiculous part, which the kid tries to be like, "Come on, go get the keys!" Like he tells a little mouse thing that was hanging out inside Smee's eye.
That's a little thing that we didn't mention as much, but it's such a nice little detail of like, oh, there's a rat living in his eye. It's just a cool little like bit of flavor that they put in there.
I wouldn't have possibly known it was Urkel unless you said he was on the show. Yeah, dude, Jaleel White being in there. We could see him for a second there when all the pirates are hanging out. But yeah, I want him to be important. The fact that they got him in the show, I really want him to be important to it. Like, I hope he doesn't just end up being like a killed character or like someone who just gets offed in the next episode. I'll be really sad about that.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him stick around.
Also, we got Slifer Red in here, which I finally I recognize that name because I felt so good. You've showed up in stuff before, but I haven't gotten your name right, and I feel really bad about that because. Hang on, wait.
Oh, we can't see it.
Maybe you can't see it because it's too.
Yeah.
I have a Slifer the Sky Dragon, so I feel kind of stupid about not recognizing that your name is Slifer Red.
Ah.
So yeah, but he says that season 1 of Mando definitely holds up. I will have to jump back in there. Let me see here. They wrote a joke so it won't be funny. Or okay, I don't know. They wrote the joke that was so funny it would kill you if you read it. But
It's a Monty Python reference. They had the
oh,
sketch about the joke that kills people, and then like the British Army translates it into German.
okay, no, I remember that, and they send it to the
Yeah,
German army and like kills and like they end the war with a joke.
yeah. But like the joke is just like, I've got a dog with no nose. How does he smell? Awful. Like, like that's the joke they tell.
Fucking fall over dead. But anyway, okay, so back to the episode. So they end up in the brig. They try to do the mouse thing, but that doesn't work. The mouse runs off, and then they get a cool little thing here where it's like, where they're like, "What are we gonna do? We're screwed. Like we don't have a way out of here." And that enter Jude Law, being doing again like very much a Jedi thing. I don't know if he knew that this was gonna help him, but the fact that he does this whole like the distance between us and the key is an illusion. And he puts out his hand, does the whole like force thing. I wonder if that's him trying to like make them be all, you can trust me, I'm a Jedi, like that kind of shit. I'm wondering if that's just him like manipulating them early on.
Yeah, I would. A little bit of me is wondering, like, is he actually a Jedi? Is there a way that like they faked that? Like, because one of the things that I sort of got when he comes out, it gives me vibes of when Jafar is dressed up as that creepy old man to get Aladdin to like give him the lamp, or to get him out of prison. Like it reminds me of that. So I'm like, maybe it's a bit more sinister than we thought.
Yeah. So if you remember the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, what's his
Yeah.
name? The not Jaleel. The Indian guy from Silicon Valley. He's in
Yes.
there and he's pretending to be a Jedi, and he does like the whole thing where he moves his hand and like the shutters close and whatnot. Oh, shit. I was a cup. Whoops. But
The
yeah, he does the
opposite
whole
of Jedi mind of Jedi Force use there.
Yep, I just bumped into something. No, but yeah, like he uses his Jedi, like he waves his hand and then shutters close, and it turns out he's just using a remote. So
Mm.
like it could be that he has like a magnetic something in his glove, or he has some kind of something going on, because like I don't know, they make it seem like he is using the force, like it is shaking and moving around, like the force is moving it. So I don't know. If he is a Jedi, it feels like it's gonna be like he was a youngling who just like ran away from the temple and just kind of used the force to get his own way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I suppose it could have been that he was essentially like a Cal Kestis sort of character that didn't go on to, like come back to the Jedi. He just stuck around and survived and became a pirate for a little while.
Yeah, because we always have those stories of like the Jedi that, or like Jedi survivors that obviously Kanan Jarrus or Cal Kestis, Ezra Bridger, Ahsoka, like they're all heroes who are like, we need to rebuild the Jedi Order. We can't let the Jedi die. This dude is just like, fuck that. Jedi are dead. Like I feel like this dude is just knocked over your non-digital scale for selling weed. I don't sell weed. I only smoke it. Yeah, but Jude Law playing a good guy that turns out to be bad. I am shocked. I don't think he's a good guy though. I think that very clearly it's going to show that like they show us in the very opening thing. He throws the dude out the airlock and doesn't give a shit about his life. I'm like, he's not a Jedi. He's not a good dude. Like this dude is very much, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like we're gonna like he's gonna try to manipulate the children and be like, no, you can trust me, I'm on your side. But it's like, no, dude, you're a pirate and you just want to use them to get to their planet.
Yeah, Patrick said it. A bad guy playing good but ends up being good. That's kind of what I expect. Like I'm going to keep harping on about this because I feel like it's obvious, but it just seems like, oh, it's Treasure Island. So yeah, he's Long John Silver. So he'll like him. Maybe he'll teach this guy how to be a pirate. Like he'll teach Wim to have some skills, and he won't just be this kind of loser kid anymore. Like you say, like maybe try and teach him to sort of be a Jedi, maybe, like, and then eventually Wim will realize that he's lying to him, and it'll be a really emotional, sad moment because Wim's all like, "Oh no, you were my daddy, even though I have a daddy, but like you were my new daddy, and now I'm sad."
Yeah, But I'm definitely thinking that Wim is going to be like that look right there of like, oh my god, you're a Jedi. It's like, dude, you're going to be manipulated. And Slifer says that my money is on Dark Jedi. And I don't know, maybe definitely. Like I hope, you know, one thing I hope we don't see any lightsabers. I don't want to see him pull out a lightsaber and be like, bzz, bzz. I just want to see this dude using guns the whole time. Like, just be a one of those guys who's like, I'm a fallen Jedi. I mean, I'm a Force user. I use it to my advantage, but otherwise, I'm just a pirate. Like I
Yeah.
want to stick to that because there's no reason for him to have a redemption arc and go find the other Jedi and maybe we can all work together. No, dude. I just want to see a bad guy being a bad guy.
Yeah, you know, like he got rid of his lightsaber a long time ago because if you go around with a lightsaber, that's just putting a target on your back for the Inquisitors. Like, you're not going to do it.
Exactly. It's like you're either going to be like a target on some, you're putting a target on your back for somebody else, or you're making people be like, hey, help me with every little thing that I need. And I imagine that's going to be like his kind of like they're going to say, well, why did you leave the Jedi, or why don't you go do this, that, and the other? And he's going to give them some kind of spiel like that of like, I don't do that shit anymore.
Maybe we'll get like a Bioshock sort of reveal where, like, instead of it being, you know, would you kindly, like, there'll be some sort of thing of like every single time Jude Law like scratched his nose, he was actually doing a Jedi mind trick and like making these kids do what he wanted.
That would be kind of cool. It's like he's just like subtly manipulating them and just kind of like doing a like, would you kindly on them? No Bioshock. It's like, is the elephant the same species as Max Rebo? Because Max doesn't really have feet. No, that is what they've described. And I've actually looked up the Wikipedia for like I think for what is his name, Neil. And yeah, no, he is not. According to this, he is referred to as just Neil's species. Like he's not
No.
Max. He's not an Ortolan, or whatever the hell they're called. He's not Max Rebo.
Is he called Neil?
Yeah, that's so. Yeah, so the names are, we have Wim, the blue dude is named Neil, the girl is named Fern, and then the other girl is KB.
Right. Okay. So it's just Neil. Oh yeah, here's Neil. Like,
he's the chunk of this episode. Neil, that elephant. He's the because we can't make fun of fat children. Instead, we made a fat blue elephant. he is the stand-in for childhood obesity.
Yeah, that is.
I'm like, that's what I've decided is that he's the chunk of that episode. Wim is the what's his name? He's the Hobbit kid.
He's the Samwise Gamgee.
There you go. He's the Samwise, or the Rudy, if you will. He's that kid. And then we have Fern, who is like kind of like the Corey Feldman / the older brother character.
Yeah, the Josh Brolin.
Yeah. And then from there, we also have the KB, which is very clearly, she's like the short round character kid.
Oh, yeah. I think it's Gadget in that movie.
Yeah, Gadget. Which, not better, but still.
She's a more successful Gadget, I'd say.
Agreed. Let's see. So, but he's not Max Rebo's character. They very specifically put that in like I think it was like an interview with John Watts. He's like, no, it's not. He's like his own thing, and I guess it's gonna be important what he is later on, or something like that.
Oh, okay, maybe he's the Jedi.
Maybe. Like I'm just saying. I feel like it might be important, like the fact that there's alien races on that planet that may not be elsewhere in the galaxy. Like that might be important, you know. Something like that.
Yeah.
Like it might be a thing later on. It's like, oh, I've never seen one of you before. You might fetch a high price or something like that.
Or, you know, the discover that like his species died out like millennia ago.
Exactly. Like find out that he's like he's an endangered species, like the last of his kind or some such. Like, but that'd be depressing. But anyway, so we only have about 10 minutes left of the episode. I think that's pretty much where we end, is with Jude Law just like revealing that he's a Force user. So now we got to lead to the next part. What do you have any predictions for the next episode? What do you think is going to happen in episode 3?
Right. So episode 3, I think, is going to be getting out of here. There's going to be a big part of it. Because he's got a key, but we're going to have some capers to see what happens. So we need to find out where Smee is. You know, like, is Smee damaged? Is Smee like being junked right now? Do they have to go rescue Smee to get him back? And also, when they came into the spaceport, you saw those huge cannons that were tracking the ship. as it went through. So there's got to be some sort of firefight, I think, for them to get out of that place.
Agreed. Like, we're definitely going to have, like, Jude Law is going to be like, okay, well, there's an armory here. There's a thing there. Your droid would be stored over here. Like, he's going to be the one to, like, lead the plan and be like, all right, you go do this. You go do that. You just stay out of the way. And, yeah, like, Wim, stay out of the fucking way. And, you know, like, it'll just be that kind of thing of, like, each kid is going to have their own part of the heist. And it'll go, like, they'll kind of bumble it. And it's going to go a little bit wrong. But it's going to end, of course, with them getting back on the ship and escaping the pirate, like, the port.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that at this point, they seem to be going for the story of like Wim is the useless one, so he's going to screw it up somehow. Like either, like you say, they'll tell him to stay out of the way and not do anything, but he will do something anyway and only make things worse, or he'll just completely fumble the thing he was told to do. Like, you know, he had to get a lever or something, but then snapped it in half, like instead of just pulling it.
Or it's like your job is to get the droid, but it's like he doesn't know how to activate it, or he doesn't know how to do the thing. It's like it's going to lead to something having to like a problem, and then someone's going to have to save him. But again, inevitably, they're all going to get off the port and get into the ship.
Yeah.
See, Jesus Christ, all the fat jokes now about Neil.
Yeah, what the hell? What are we doing to this poor?
He's to hyperspeed to tie his belt. I jumped in on it too. Unfortunately, I thought it was going to end there, but that's
no mood. That's Neil.
That's Neil. Neil's waist size is 3 Death Stars. At least Neil's belt is less than 12 parsecs, and Neil's belly is such a gravitational pull that pod racers can't take on the ground next to him. That's funny. That's funny. Horrible, but fun. But see, it's okay because he's an alien. Nobody cares about the big blue elephant. But so yeah. Anyway, I think personally, I'm agreeing with you on that one. It's going to be a heist or a caper to get them off the ship or off the port, and then from there, like maybe it'll either be like maybe it'll be like the first half of the episode, and the next half will be like, here, I can help you guys get home if you let me, you know, get to your planet and raid the treasure or whatever. It's going to be some kind of deal thing that he's going to make with them, but I bet you there's going to be like a problem being like, oh, well, our nav computer doesn't work or it's damaged or something like that. So now we have to backtrack basically and figure out where we were.
Yeah, I suppose the thing that they need next for it to be a pirate story is a map. Like they need to find the map with the X on the, you know, on the spot to get them back to Atatlan.
Yeah, at Aten, yes.
At Aten. So, like, I think that'll be the next part of the adventure. You know, he's like, we're going to go find the map, the coordinates, the holocron, whatever it's going to be. That's going to lead them there. And I'll predict that Jude Law will take them to some sort of hideout that he has, because he's got to go get his stuff. It's just, you know, a very kind of typical like thing that happens in stories. He's got to have his gear. But yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and so we'll definitely see how that happens. I'm looking forward to it. After the second episode, I think I'm definitely like into this. I'm into this series. It seems like it's going to be a lot of, or at least it seems like it has the potential to be a lot of fun. And I'm down for it so far, especially with all the weird pirate aesthetics that we're getting in this Star Wars universe. I'm like, it's cool. I think it's kind of cool. It doesn't make sense at some points, like again the telescope or the compass, but it's piratey. So you know what? Go with it.
Yeah. Maybe sometimes they actually go on the sea when they're on a planet. Like they can fly out, but then they can touch down and like maybe use it as an actual boat or something. Unlikely, but maybe. I really like Patrick's Neil won't forget these insults. It's a bit of a thinker, and I like it.
And Neil ate Wim's mother. Oh, because he's an elephant. Okay. That took me a fucking second, but yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Once Darth Vader tried to choke Neil, after hours of pain, Vader had to give up. And all right, so I think we're gonna end it on that. But yeah, so good episode. I think it's at the end definitely worth it. You know, it's intriguing enough to be like to have like a kind of a mystery behind why the planet is important, where this ship came from, you know, and why was it crashed there? Like we have the makings of a nice little like mystery to kind of piece together as the series goes. And I'm excited to kind of see it where it goes and how it happens, you know.
Yeah, I would say that this show of the Star Wars shows has been one of the ones, like certainly of the recent ones, and more than the Acolyte, I've wanted to go back to it, possibly even more than like Agatha all along. Like I was kind of excited for that show. There was some potential that I was looking forward to, but this one, I'm like, oh no, yeah, I want to see more of this. Like in that second episode, I really liked where the story's going, and I'm kind of eager to see what the next part is.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's see here. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that one. It looks like it's going to be cool, and yeah, go check it out if you haven't already, or go buy Disney Plus, or go take to the high seas and do what you got, do what the guys in this show do. But at any rate, I think we're going to call it quits on that one. And so thank you guys all for being here. That's going to wrap it up for the Fulcrum Entertainment Podcast. Thank you to Hans, to Patrick, to Blue EX, to Slifer Red, to we had Aaron in here for a minute. We had no Mr. Action today, I noticed, but that's okay.
He didn't watch it.
Yeah, no, of course he didn't. He never saw I don't think he actually ever saw the Goonies, so maybe he just didn't care.
Wow.
And then so of course I'm going to also say thank you to these 6 awesome individuals, our Fulcrum Council members. You guys, as always, you guys are awesome, and you it's. I was going to say we would not be doing this without you, but that's not true. We'd be doing this, but it's you make it slightly better. That's what I'll say.
Yes.
And so yeah, thank you guys all for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment below, and you check out our other stuff. Harrison, do you have anything you want to tell us about?
I don't think I do at the moment. I've been super busy with other stuff, and every week I've been going, I'm gonna make the final part of that Resident Evil book and put it out, and I haven't. So guys, make sure to check it out. But you can check out Gilbert. You've been doing loads of more live streams. You've been having loads of fun with Outer Wilds. I think people should go check out those VODs.
Such a good game. All y'all, if you haven't played it, all y'all need to play that game. It is glorious. Play it before you watch me play it. Because otherwise it's going to spoil the shit out of it for you, and I don't want to do that. But until next time, this has been the Fulcrum Entertainment Podcast. I have been Gilbert.
I've been Harry.
And we thank you guys all for being here. Remember, we are all Fulcrum, and we will see you guys next week. Take it easy, everybody.